Yes, it occurs to me, the recording before last, I'm only a few minutes into it, and you realise, what does society turn on? It turns on a person having something that is of value to them, family. Having family to work for, because the family brings in the goodness and joy in the life that he values. And then he'll cooperate with society. If cooperating with society means securing that family and what it needs, he knows his welfare turns on that. If you destroy the family, you destroy his motivation for cooperating. You end up with a person that's not a person, because they're not going to contribute willingly. They're not going to be creative on your behalf, because there's no point, there's no gain, nothing but cost and labour. So your society collapses. If you destroy the family, you will destroy society. You won't build some perfect alternative society. You will have nothing. The end of life. Yours and everyone else's. There seems to be, as far as I can see, no substitute for the family. You may dream one up. You stand a possibility of being right, but not a probability. And why would you want to build an alternative to the family when it supports life itself? It is not that society builds a perfect family. It's that a perfect family is necessary for society to exist. Families are not perfect. To the extent that they're not, nor is society. It falls apart round the edges and through in the end if you're not careful. You need to know in your heart and being what society is built on. It's built on the love of the family, the integrity that's learnt there and understood, the values that are nurtured in the family are what's necessary for your society to work. You thought it was the laws of society. No. It's the values of the lawgiver and the values of your administration, the people that actually carry out the administration, be it government or police or bureaucrat. It's their values that count. You thought it was the structure. No, it's the values. And if you tamper with those values, you've got to be incredibly right, or the consequences are disaster. For instance, do you see that if the state provides what the family was providing, then the family doesn't need to hold together? doesn't value each other, so there's no need to hold together. So they live on their own. But people not doing things together, but simply receiving, are not living. To be alone is a disaster God found himself in the beginning. He created a family. Harmonious individuals that love each other. You've got inharmonious individuals that don't have the values of harmony with each other. And living alone, you're back to the original crisis. You have destroyed society and yourself. You don't want to do that. You really do not want that outcome. Thank you, Dad. Now I've experienced for 7 or 8 years now being alone, not in family. How have I rescued myself from this dilemma? Oh, I've focused on God. Infinitely more than I did before. The personification of all that I value. And the result is that I'm living a life that is fulfilling. It's meeting my needs. When you've destroyed society, people will turn to God far more than before because of an incredible need to do so. No matter how improbable God might have otherwise seemed. Life is infinitely better believing in God than not in such circumstances. Hence war and desolation and loneliness builds saints. And the saint, having come into existence, creates fellowship with other saints, of course. Back to the kingdom of heaven, the host of heaven, and God. God is inevitable. The belief in God is inevitable, of course. Otherwise he wouldn't exist eternally. It's not I think, therefore I am. It's that I live, and therefore God is. And I don't mean in some misunderstanding of I'm God. I mean that I can't live without him being the reality. I stand in awe of thee. I stand in awe of you. Holy One from all blessings flow. I stand in awe of you. Love you, Dad. And so family's deserted you, which is my case in the last few years. It's okay if you have a greater family. But it must be your family. It must have your values, you see. And what you have in the world will not be, it will be a mix. And it will fall apart. If nothing else, it falls apart because you die out of this world and they die out of it too. You need an eternal family. Whether it's there or not, that's what you need. And the possibility of it being there means everything. So the notion of the ideal, which is your God's family, not someone else's God's family, your God's family, and devotion to it is everything to you and to life. That is how our reality is structured, so that a love of the perfect God as we understand it is inevitable, and devotion to such leads to finding better and better, more and more accurately, what that God would be. You see, we make God in our own image. And if we worship it, we practice finding out how right or wrong we are and adjust our God accordingly. We are the evidence of God, for even left to our own devices, we create him. Therefore, God is in us from the beginning. We have proved, we are the proof of the existence of God, for even without him, we start creating him. The very thought of God is in us, you see. All creation is thought. We move, is it inexorably? Is that the word? We move endlessly towards perfect God. We are life eternal. We are come that life eternal be. Life implies life eternal. God and all that is